How's it going, everybody? It is Vichu here. Today's video is a part of a 3-video series where I explain how you can make your very own website, and today's particular part will focus on what you need in order for your website to be on the internet up and running. And so if you're interested in learning how to do that and you're a beginner to websites in general, then do stay tuned. Alright, so the first thing that you need in order to create a website is somewhere where you can store the images and the files and the text of your website. And that is called a web host. Now, traditionally, in the past, people have needed their own servers in order to create websites, but now there's these companies that have tons of mega servers, and they typically store your website because it's much easier than having a big server at home, which constantly runs, making noise, and a lot of internet service providers don't allow it anyways, and it has to constantly run, so it's a hassle. Sometimes you run into issues. So there's something called a shared hosting plan, which is essentially when this mega server holds about anywhere from 5 to, let's say, 50 websites of different people that use this shared server. And shared servers are fairly cheap, and I'm going to be going through the costs of how much they cost. I do recommend two companies that do shared hosting very well, and that is HostGator and SiteGround. And if you are going to use either of those, then I have placed affiliate links below. And HostGator, you can get up to 60% off any package that you want to purchase with my code VIDSHOE. That is VIDSHOE. And if you punch in that code at the checkout, you'll be able to get a bigger discount than what they typically give. And currently, I think they have a 60% off, but this is a very special time. Typically, it's about 20 to 40% off. Now, moving forth, the second thing that you need in order to create a website is a domain name. What I try to give the example of a domain name is like the address of a house. The hosting can be the house, where all of the things in your website are stored. But in order to get to that house, someone needs to know your address. And that's what a domain name is. Essentially, when you have a website on hosting, it's unknown to the world because it's just a random IP address that humans, wouldn't recognize as your website. That's why you need to have an extra layer. You need to buy a domain. And with this domain name, which is typically an example of a domain name, for instance, is google.com or youtube.com or yahoo.com, or, for instance, it could be .ca or .ga, are free domains that you can get from Freenom, which I do not recommend, but it is an option. And so for registering domains, I typically register mine from Namecheap. I have used various domain name registrars in the past, and if you use HostGator, you might be able to get a year free .com domain, which renews at the fixed rate of $15 per year, which is not a bad price at all. And so those are the two things that you need in order to get a website. And basically, once you have these two things, you can link them using what's called domain name servers, or DNS for short. So basically, your domain name, that is, for instance, your website.com, will forward to the server. And all it is the server. You have to think of it like a computer with multiple directories, and each of those directories being individual websites. And your domain name is going to be going to that directory where your website is contained, or where your website is stored. And every user that goes to, let's say, yourwebsite.com will see the contents of that directory. And in other words, that will be what your website is. So if you have any questions or concerns, you can leave it in the comments below. I've tried to do this in under 5 minutes, so I won't extend the video any longer. In the next 2 videos, I'll be going through how you can link the hosting and the domain and vice versa, and the different approaches that you have in terms of what you want to do. Do you want to code your website? And if you're a beginner, I highly discourage that? Or do you want to use a content management system such as WordPress, which I highly recommend, and I have most of my websites hosted on WordPress, and WordPress powers over 34% of the world as of now, over 30% of the world's websites as of now, which is makes it also very strong in terms of security because it powers so much of the internet. It constantly, because it's so used, it constantly updates itself to keep with the highest level of security. And I'll be going through all those in the next video. If you're interested, I have links in the description below for those as well. So do make sure to check out those. If you found this video helpful, then the like button is there for you to hit. Optionally, I'm not forcing anyone. And have a great, wonderful day. Thanks for watching.